So you're in the UK, and then you end up in the States somehow. What happened there?
So I got several opportunities because obviously I used it to be a musician. I always wanted to do music. And I was in studios and I got opportunities. Like I got an opportunity almost signed by Polydor Records. And when I walked in the meeting, I mean, now hindsight, I wish I was a bit more receptive to the whole situation and just done the music. But I knew I wanted to be a more soulful R&B.
What were they offering you?
You know, that pop stuff. Like, I don't know if any of you remember Samantha Mumba.
Yes.
That was me, and I was like, thank God I didn't take that deal.
She was a one-hit wonder.
I just remember her jumping over a roof, and I don't know if it was like, you know, like, I don't know if it was a little haterade, like, who wants to jump over roofs, you know, kind of thing. But you know.
Okay, Habida, she was a one-hit wonder. There's only one song.
I googled her the other day.
Okay, so obviously.
But anyway, so then I figured out, okay, this is not for me.
Okay.
So the producer I was working with was signed to BMG at the time, which doesn't exist anymore, but he said Nashville is the place to be. So I was like, oh God, how do I break this to the parents? So I said, let me also, and my mother was like, Habida, your father is the biggest educator in Kenya. How can you not have a degree? I was like, okay, 2 in 1.
So all this time in the UK, no schooling, you're just pursuing music and waitressing.
Oh yeah, that was the fact that we missed because...
And then now you're telling your parents, I want to move to the States, and your mom is...
because he hadn't paid tax for so many years, I couldn't go to school for free.
Oh,
I had to wait for the 3 years. And also, I think I just didn't have focus at the time.
Okay, you were 17, 18.
Yes, exactly. So I decided to now figure out, called him and I said, Dad, I know you want me to do law, because he says I could argue any point to the ground.
This is true.
Karen, why are you laughing so loud?
But he trained you for it. You grew up saying at the dinner table, this is what I want to eat, or whatever. He was training you. Okay.
Yeah, he told me I have a voice. And I said, okay, Daddy, if you want me to go, cool, I'm going to school for performing arts. He said, I don't care what you do, just go to school. So I said, okay. So by the time I got home, so I had to leave London to go do my SATs. I figured, let me go home, because I realized the US is a lot further. And I didn't know what the situation would be. So I said, let me go home and spend some time with the family, do my SATs. And then, so in 6 months, I'd done my SATs, passed, and I was in the US. My father had prospectuses. He said, this one is in this, obviously geographical. You know, he was so together. This one is in this part of Atlanta. If you want to go into the city, you will have to go this far. This one is over here, and this one is close to this part of da-da-da-da-da, and this area seems to be a black area, and this is a white area. This is a bit dangerous, so don't go there. Like, I knew Atlanta before I got there. Wow. So I was like...
Well done, Dad.
I mean, that was the nature of our upbringing, you know. We knew where we were going before we got there, because he would lay off. And so that's how I ended up in the US.
Okay, what was that like?
It was awesome. I think when I got there, the UK was different. You know, I didn't have very many people to Atlanta. I found my cousin who was doing like pharmacy, doctorate of pharmacy. Then I found, you know, this girl, she was doing 3 jobs. And then this, you know, like the US is very different. The hustle is very hectic. And Atlanta is one of those cities where you need a car. So I needed a car, and I was like, yo, I need a car. I'm like, what is that? How do you get a car? So then I met my best friend now. Her name is Jane. She's that fitness freak. And she said to me, listen, girl, there ain't no time for no games, okay? She was like, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this, you need to do that. I was like, right. That's what I need to do. Because don't forget, well, I didn't say this, but I had gotten there with... one term fees and 1 term's rent. So the rest was up to me. And he said to me, my dad said to me, so what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. I'll figure it out when I get there.
Wow.
So, yeah.
You are a risk taker.
Like my mommy and daddy.
Okay, 1 term. So then what? What kind of job did you get?
So I was a waitress. Again, I loved that because I love speaking to people. I like talking to new people. So that was actually by choice. And a bartender and by night. And then I used to work in a church in the morning. I know your job. So
I love this. You will listen to people any which way. You'll be in church. Let's
so sometimes
pray.
I'd actually be there going, in the name of Jesus, we just ask you, Lord, because I'd be the person you call. But I was really there. Like, I knew the Bible from beginning to the end because I had to quote scriptures and get you out of your problem.
You're a priest's
and
daughter.
People used to call and say, can I speak to Habida? We're not allowed to give our names. And they were like, I'd get called to the office, Habida, why are you doing this? I'm
Nobody
like, no,
wondered
but that lady
this
really
Muslim
needed
name
help.
you have, and you're working in a church.
I know, but
you're
you
selling
know,
haram. You're selling alcohol by night.
I don't know if any of you know Charles Stanley. That's the church. I used to work for Charles Stanley. He's like television now. He's on TV. This white old man. So if they knew, I was like, at night, sometimes I'd have hangovers. It was crazy. And then I also did call center work. I'd work in a call center. That was very painful because as an artist, you know, you locked in a cube going, yes, how much do you owe AT&T? Yes,
I worked in a call center. I was fantastic.
and luckily the boss was Irish.
Uh-huh.
I forget but he'd come in and say, oh my gosh, this has happened. And he knew my struggles. You know, and we were co-Irish, so it would be like, okay, fine. So, you know, because I had like almost 30 minutes to get between jobs. So I was late to most of the time, except for church. You couldn't be late for church, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so then your parents came to visit, and this was a turning point in your relationship with your dad. What happened?
So from my memory, this is kind of embarrassing because my mommy's in the room, but we've never talked. I think we stopped talking once he left. I don't know, but. I noticed a shift because I was a bit crazy, I think. I bought this car, and it's because my brakes went out on the highway, and I thought, this is not life. You know, like I was handbrake on a highway in the US for about an hour till I got back home, and I called to work and said, my brakes have gone, and I drove straight to CarMax, and I said, take this, how much are you gonna give me? $4,000. I said, okay. They said, go into the car lot, and I picked a $26,000 car.
How much does church pay?
Girl, trust me. I didn't have the money, but I used to walk in faith like that. I didn't know it then. I know now, but I didn't, you know. And so I figured ways all day to find money. I borrowed money. I pulled out this, and the deposit was about $1,000. And then, so I raised $4 during the day, and then I had the $4 from the car, and then I paid payments. I'll never forget, $270 a month, 0.56 cents. And, basically I worked my off. And when he saw the car, I remember him going, oh my gosh. Now, I think my father had kept his priestness. I don't know if it's his priestness or just godliness. And he was like, this is a lot. Why you have a car like this? You know, everything was too much. He always used to say, Habida, that's just too much. So then we got to the house, and the reason I bought a house, and the reason I bought a house is my father had called me and said, hey, will you take your sister? And I was like, okay, I'll take my sister. So that kind of meant house her, feed her, the rest of it, because, you know, we were working budgets. And so I was like, I don't know, something in me just said, let's buy a house. So all my friends are like, Habida, we're in uni. Why are you buying houses in $26,000?
Yes, why are you buying houses exactly?
I don't know. I even bought a second one, but it's fine. So
wait, hold on. How did you finance the house? Was it this, like the U.S. recession and loans
So I had a boyfriend who was a realtor.
Okay.
And then I was like, I'll do realty. Because you didn't have to have a time. You get me? So I could do it when I had time.
Oh, instead of these other jobs that are
No,
fixed,
on top. Right. So then...
Habida, did you graduate?
I graduated. I did.
Okay, this is a lot going on in 4 years. Okay.
So then, they were giving loans, and I guess that's why that thing crashed. But they were giving loans. And I'm a realtor, so I know how to get a loan now. So I got a loan, and I bought the house. But I was very smart. It wasn't me that crashed it because I actually saved my money. I moved out of my apartment before my sister came. I lived with my cousin. And I saved up money and I then bought the house just before she came. And so he to the house and he's like, "This is your house." And I just remember his face. I mean, he hid it after a while, but the initial, I noticed it. And then from there, I noticed I had literally lost my daddy. I had my father, but I lost my daddy. Because
Explain.
he started, I guess, maybe, I don't know, maybe respecting me a bit too much. Oh, I don't know.
What do you mean? Like, what
So
did it
there was
look
no
like?
more, "Daddy, what should I do?" He would then respond with, "I'm sure you'll know what you should do." You know, rather than, "No, don't do that," or "That's crazy," or say like he used to say, "Habida, you're just too much," you know?
Okay.
And then I remember one time, yeah.
So do you feel like you don't need him? Like now you're educating his child for him. You've bought a house. You have this $26,000 car. You live in the U.S. Is that what?
I don't know.
Do you
I
think
wish I
maybe
knew.
that's what it was?
He died before I had the conversation.
Okay.